Volodymyr Zelensky said rescuers were continuing to clear away debris from the site of a Russian strike on a residential building in Kyiv that killed at least 22 people. The fate of 8 others remains unknown, according to the Ukrainian president. European leaders expressed outrage at the latest massive strike on Ukraine, which came as U.S. President Donald Trump tries to end the war. Trump himself has not yet responded to the shelling, but Washington on Thursday approved the sale of cruise missiles to Ukraine. On Friday morning, Zelensky reported that rescue work in a residential building in the Darnitsky district of Kyiv had been completed. But the dismantling of destroyed structures was ongoing. As a result of the shelling of the Ukrainian capital on Thursday, at least 23 people were killed, 22 of them died in a destroyed 5-story building. Another 53 local residents were injured, Zelensky added. A day of mourning has been declared in Kyiv on Friday, with state flags lowered and entertainment events cancelled. The attack on the Ukrainian capital on Thursday night was the largest in recent months, and the first such shelling since the meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin in Alaska. Russian missiles, among other things, seriously damaged the buildings of the British Council in Kyiv and the diplomatic mission of the European Union. After being hit by a Shade drone, a high-speed passenger train, Intercity, which was parked in a depot near Kyiv, was also burned, and a plant under construction for the production of Turkish Bayraktar drones was damaged by the strike. The apartment was where rescuers are standing on the ruins. BBC report from Kyiv, where Russian strike destroyed apartment building. When Russia chooses ballistics over diplomacy, continues to modernize Shahids for assassinations, and develops cooperation with entities like North Korea, it means the world must respond accordingly, Zelensky wrote. We need strong sanctions, strong pressure, strong steps so that killers do not feel impunity. Mers urged not to wait for Putin's meeting with Zelensky. European leaders have expressed outrage over the strikes on Kyiv and accused Russia of being unwilling to end the war. Similar statements were made by French President Emmanuel Macron, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, among others. EU foreign ministers will discuss the use of frozen Russian assets in Ukraine's interests in Copenhagen on Saturday. European Commission spokeswoman Ariana Podesta said. Von der Leyen also promised to present the EU's 19th package of tough sanctions against Moscow in the near future. Merz, however, called for not hoping for direct talks between Zelensky and Putin, which the US is trying to organize. It will not come to a meeting between President Zelensky and President Putin, as it was between President Trump and President Putin, the German leader said during a joint press conference with Macron. The US said it hoped for direct talks between the presidents of Ukraine and Russia after 2 summits, with Trump and Putin in Alaska and the head of the White House with Zelensky and European leaders in Washington. However, Moscow made it clear that Zelensky's meeting with Putin is still a long way off, since a specific agenda must be prepared for such a meeting. At the same time, Russia does not intend to abandon the maximalist conditions for ending the war, which Ukraine considers unacceptable. On Thursday, journalists asked Kremlin press secretary Dmitry Peskov to comment on the prospects for a peace process after the strikes on Kyiv, to which he responded, the special military operation continues. At the same time, Russia maintains its interest in continuing the negotiation process in order to achieve the goals that we have set for ourselves through political and diplomatic means. White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt said she spoke with President Trump about the latest Russian attack and he was not pleased by the news, but he was not surprised either. It may be that both sides of this war are not ready to end it themselves. The president wants it to end, but the leaders of these 2 countries should want it to end too. And I think the president will have more to say about that later, Leavitt said. However, there have been no further statements from Trump so far.